interest of time, let's get started. Okay. So a very warm welcome to all of you to our career awareness series on mutual fund manager. My name is Surbhi Kumar and I am the founder of the Dreamcatchers. So let me begin with telling you a little bit about the Dreamcatchers. So it is an education consulting firm based out of Mumbai, and our mission is to assist students in realizing their dream of obtaining a quality and best fit education. So how do we do that? For grade 9th and 10th, as you would agree that the immediate need is the stream and subject selection. And for grade 11th and 12th, it's primarily course and college selection. So we conduct a psychometric assessment test for the students, and that test really checks the aptitude, personality, and interest of the student. On the basis of that, a detailed career fitment report gets generated, which provides the top 10 career clusters which are best aligned to the student. But it's not just on the basis of the psychometric assessment test that we would recommend career options to the students. It's through our individualized and personalized counseling. There are a couple of sessions which we conduct with the student. Then we come to the career options for the student and also the detailed action plan wherever needed. We are also in the higher education admission guidance space, providing services both for overseas and Indian university admission. Particularly, we provide profile assessment and building services, country and course shortlisting, best fit college mapping, letter of recommendations and statement of purpose guidance, scholarship guidance, interview preparation, and visa guidance. So that was about the Dreamcatchers. Now, let me just set the expectation of our session today. So it will be in almost an hour-long session. So in first 15-20 minutes, I will be giving you an overview of this specific career in finance, which is mutual fund manager. Will cover the day-to-day roles and responsibilities, skills and competencies needed, subject combinations, supportive curricular activities, common college entry pathways, top colleges in India and across the globe, recruiters in India and across the globe. Just keep in mind that it will be an overview itself. We will not be diving deep into the specifics. So our goal is just to furnish students with some basic information, and then they can explore or research further. And if they need any detailed assistance from us, then we are happy to help. Post my overview, we'll have the fireside chat with Mr. Mrinal Singh, who is a distinguished fund manager. We'll try to set aside some time for Q&A as well. So keep posting your questions in the chat box. It will be visible to the host, myself, and my co-host as well. And depending upon the time we have in hand, we will take a few questions. Okay. Now, let's quickly start with, I just want to test, everyone's knowledge there, and you'll see a quiz coming on your screen. So we are talking about the career of a fund manager. So I just want to see, do you have an understanding of what might be the primary responsibility of a fund manager? So I'll keep this quiz open for like, say, 10 seconds or so, and then I will share the results. So I've already started receiving responses. Okay, come on. Be a little faster in that. As soon as we complete the quiz, we'll go to the meat of our session today. Okay. So only 1/3 of you have responded so far. Okay, anyhow, let me just share the result. So the correct answer is it's overseeing the investment decisions and portfolio performance of a specific interest, of a specific fund, sorry. So let's move on. Now, just to set some basic foundation. So what exactly is a mutual fund? So a mutual fund, it involves pooling together money from different investors, and that money get invested into stocks, bonds, or other security types. And it is managed by a professional fund manager. And who is a fund manager? A fund manager is a highly skilled financial professional who have access to extensive market research, economic data, and investment tools, which they utilize for this fund decision making. In terms of specialization, there are few common specialist role which is based on the asset class or investment strategy. And I do understand our audience is primarily the high school students, so these might sound like jargon, but I'll try to give you some understanding of it shortly. So in terms of specialist role, you could be an equity fund manager, fixed income, sector focused fund manager, global fund manager, or now very popular for a socially responsible investor, it's ESG fund manager. Now, in terms of terminology, what is an investment? An investment is an asset or an item which is acquired with the goal of generating income or appreciation. So, very relatable example for especially for the Indian audience is real estate or property. So, you buy a property, you get a rental. Or you get a rent from it, so that's an income, and when the property prices increases, it's the capital appreciation. Now, what is an asset class? An asset class is kind of a grouping of an investment which has similar characteristics and are subject to same laws and regulations. So common ones are equities or stocks, fixed income or bonds, commodities, and real estate. Now, what is an investment strategy? An investment strategy, it refers to set of principles or framework which is designed to help an individual investor achieve their financial and investment goals. Okay, so I hope it helps in setting up some foundation about what really a mutual fund manager would have to like really kind of work with. Now, in the next slide, you will get detailed understanding of it, and it's a very important slide for all the students out here because it will help you understand what this profession entails and how you can increase your readiness for it. So in terms of roles and responsibility, the primary ones are monitoring the financial markets, analyzing a lot of financial data, deciding on the investment strategy, doing portfolio management, doing end investor or retail investor relationship management, risk management, at a regular interval, evaluating the performance of the fund, managing the operational aspects of funds, and all the compliance related angle. Now, if we talk about the skills and competencies which are needed, you need to have high numeracy or quantitative skills. Organizational skills like being good at time management, collaborating, and also most importantly, delegating. Reading and comprehension skills, very much needed. You will have to read a lot of industry reports, company reports, annual reports as well. Client relationship management, very important. Communication and presentation skills. And I might be sounding like a broken record here because even in my earlier sessions, I have highlighted that there will not be any career in today's date which doesn't need like good communication and presentation skills. High judgment skills, ability to provide contrarian views, being good at investment research and due diligence, financial statement analysis, and sound investment knowledge. Now, in terms of subject to study, so first keep in mind that it is a neutral career. So when I say a neutral career, what does that mean? That means that you can enter into this field from any stream, be it science, humanities, arts, commerce. But what we are recommending is certain subjects which will again form a solid foundation for you. Mathematics and statistics, economics, business finance, and accounting. Now, in terms of curricular activities or super curricular activities, you should focus on exposing yourself to those activities which give you exposure towards the finance world or even economics world. So join investment and finance club, economics club. And these days you have a lot of finance courses available online, free of cost, even workshops as well. But be careful from where you are picking and who is actually taking those lectures. Try to read financial literatures, newspapers like Economic Times. I know you might not be able to make sense out of 100% of the information, but like once you read it, if you're not understanding it, research more, try to build your understanding there. Participate in investment competitions and other market stimulation exercises. Moving on, I also wanted to ask another question, and primarily I'm asking this question so that I can really bust a few of the myths related to psychometric assessment. So the question is, what is the purpose of using psychometric assessments in career exploration? So again, I'll keep it open for like say 15 seconds or so and just put in your responses. And it's just so that we clear the expectation whenever a student is starting with a career counseling or a career exploration exercise. the starting point is always psychometric assessment. So what they can expect from that report and what they should not expect from the report. Okay. Great. Majority of you have responded. So again, in interest of time, let me just share the result. So yes, it is the correct answer is to provide objective insights into students' aptitude, interest, and personality traits related to potential careers. It cannot provide you a detail around like a perfect career, because there's no such thing as perfect career. Neither it will give you any insights into the academic performance of the student. For that, it's primarily the grades from the school exams itself. So let's move on. Now, when we talk about a fund manager and the aptitude, personality, and interest, so in terms of aptitude, being high on numerical and reasoning would really help you develop the right competencies needed for this role. In terms of personality, generally speaking, the fund managers, they are high on extroversion, so they like being are in and around people. They are focused and organized, and they are resilient, they are calm, they don't get shaken away or shaken by any of the incidents very easily as such. In terms of their interest type, it's primarily high on enterprising and conventional. They like influencing or being in an environment where they can influence people as such, and they also like to be on the conventional side in terms of, again, work environment itself. When we say conventional, it is more around being structured, methodical, and being organized. Okay. So again, the goal is just to give you some understanding of it. And if you're really planning to start your career in finance and be a fund manager, you can focus on developing these areas as well. So next is, again, in finance stream, how you can really start with, right, in terms of entry pathways. So first one is, you again come from any stream, but do consider taking mathematics. And if your school offers economics, do take that as well. Then you can do your bachelor's in commerce, business, economics, or finance. And you can then pursue either master's in this, or you can also consider doing MBA in finance. The other option is, together with bachelor's, you take up professional courses like CA and CFA, and I'll talk a little bit about it shortly as well. Okay. The other pathway is, again, you come from any stream, but consider taking mathematics and economics, and mathematics for sure if you are considering this pathway. Do your bachelor's in mathematics and then do your master's in finance, or MBA in finance, or together when you are doing your bachelor's in mathematics, consider starting with these professional courses. There's another pathway, which is engineering. Like, you do your engineering, BTech or bachelor's of engineering, you start with these professional courses, or you consider doing master's in finance or MBA in finance. Now, these are the common pathways. By no means we have covered all the pathways. There could be others, but these are the most common ones. So once you are done with your coursework, or even like when you are doing this, you can consider taking internships as well, and you can target securing your jobs as an analyst at any of the brokerage house or asset management company, at front office of an investment firm. And with experience, you can surely get into the fund management space. Now, when we talk about professional courses, chartered accountant, how it helps, it really helps in building finance and investment skills, right? So that's why we recommend it for people who are planning to make a career in finance and specifically fund management. Now, chartered financial analyst, which is offered by a US based organization, it's very, very renowned and very well regarded in the industry itself, and a lot of investment professionals consider taking it. In terms of short-term courses, National Stock Exchange provides NCFM modules, and those are like 8 modules. And if you take it, it will also provide you comprehensive understanding of the financial markets. The other one is National Institute of Securities Markets, which is an initiative by Securities Exchange Board of India. And sometimes for some of the jobs in the industry, in the investment industry, this course is also a prerequisite as well. But again, it will give you some fundamental understanding of finance and investment world. Okay, I hope it was helpful. Now let's move on. Now, if you're considering studying abroad and specifically like undergraduate and even at postgraduate level, you can take combination of certain subjects which can help you really set the right foundation for making your career in the field of finance. You can consider taking accounting and finance, business finance, quantitative finance, finance and investment, and there are many more, right? So I've just listed a few to just give you some basic understanding. Okay. Now, in terms of top colleges in India as well, and this is particularly covering the undergraduate degrees, there is one college which is Shahid Sukhdev College of Business Studies. They have a course called BBA in Financial Investment Analysis, which is a very good course. And you'll have to give an entrance exam, plus they also consider 12th marks as well. Many of the colleges under Delhi University, they provide Bachelors of Commerce, which has accounting and finance as subjects, and even economics as well, right? So you can consider those two. Mumbai University has also good colleges which provides these courses and many more, right? I've just listed a few. Now, when it comes to other countries, like this is based on QS World Ranking for finance subject, the top colleges, and these are highly selective universities, no doubt. So if you are considering again studying abroad and you want to make your profile suitable for targeting these industries, you can book an appointment with us and we can certainly help you there. Closer to home as well, in Singapore too, there are two universities which also offers good finance courses at undergraduate level. Okay. Now, I also wanted to give some understanding to all the students out here that where they can expect to work when they are doing their coursework in finance, investments, accounting, right? Which all organizations they can expect to work. So investment research or brokerage firms like Kotak Securities, Access Capital, or globally like Morningstar, the Motley Fool. Asset management companies like ICICI Prudential Mutual Fund, Incred Asset Management, BlackRock, Vanguard, private equity or hedge funds, be it like ICICI Venture, the Chatterjee Group, Blackstone, investment banks like JM Financial, JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, consulting firms, all the big four there, and even the corporate organizations in their or corporate as such in their finance and treasury function. So L&T, Reliance, you can think of all the big corporates and they will have a treasury department as well. Okay, so with that, I come to the end of what I wanted to cover. So now here we are in terms of the highlight of our session today, which is the fireside chat with Mr. Mrinal Singh. I hope, Mrinal, you have joined us. Let me double check. Mrinal, are you there?
Yeah, can you see me? Hi.
Yes, let me just...
Are you able to see me, Surbi?
1 second. Yeah, let me just... Yeah, yes, Mrinal. Good morning. How are you?
Morning. Are you able to see and hear me, Surbi?
Yes, very well. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Okay, so let me give the audience a brief intro of you, Mrinal. So Mrinal is a well-known name in the fund management industry. He's currently the Chief Executive Officer and Chief Investment Officer at Incred Asset Management. He was the Senior Fund Manager and Deputy CIO at ICICI Prudential AMC prior to joining Incred. He did his MBA in finance from SPJ in Mumbai, and he holds an engineering degree from Bangalore University. So welcome, Mrinal, to our session today. We are very pleased to have you here.
Thank you, Surbi. It's always a pleasure to interact with young faces, and I hope I am useful and I'm able to communicate with the audience that we have.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So let's quickly dive into the fireside chat itself. And I'll start with my first question. So what really inspired you to pursue a career in finance, Mrinal?
It's an interesting question, Surbi. I wish I had a straight answer to it, but very early in my life, somewhere in the zone of where our audience is, high school and roundabout, I was very fascinated with the stock markets and investing options, and I had no clue how does it go about it. So in those days, it was pre-internet era. We would flip the newspaper, see some things, and then when I talked to some elders, they told me you have to do MBA in finance or something like that to make a career out of it. So I said, okay, before that we have to do some bachelor's, so we'll do something. So I pursued my mechanical engineering, worked for some time, and did my MBA. But yeah, I mean, no straight drives, but it was something that fascinated me, and I wanted to be part of that profession.
Excellent. Okay. Uh, so help us understand what's like your typical day or a week, and what are your like major roles and responsibilities as well?
So I carry multiple hats. So let me talk about some specific things. Uh, Typical role or day for me begins early. The markets open at 9:15, so we are generally in office 8ish, if not
Mhm.
earlier. We generally have meeting with our research team and fund managers, trying to discuss what has happened overnight and last day. If there's something that needs to adjust into our scheme of things, which primarily revolves around managing clients, portfolios, and investments in the equity
Mm-hmm.
markets.
Mm-hmm.
And if there is something that needs to be deliberated, something that needs to be concluded, we do that. Then the markets begin. If we have some buying or selling actions, we kind of proceed with that, provided the risk and the price parameters are fulfilled. We typically have quarterly results from companies, so we try to course correct if things are progressing the way we thought. There are macro events globally happening that could include interest rates movements, inflation movements, and a variety of macroeconomic parameters that keep changing. We try to keep gauging if there is something that requires to be readjusted in our estimates or in our assumptions
Okay.
in the way of work. But my role as a CIO CEO also involves about this managing people,
Mm-hmm.
managing risk, and a host of other things, managing client relationships and a variety of functions.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. So, is it like fair to say it's generally a long day for you? You start early, you wrap up early, or how it is?
So very, very interesting, Surbi. I mean, it would be individual answers to people, but if I recall in my analyst days, the day used to be long. I would move in early and till late we would do work.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we would go back home and work and do our calls and all that. But then for a fund manager, I have realized and I let my fund managers have some mental space to be able to think.
True.
So I generally have my people move in earlier at 8ish or somewhere around that. But beyond 4:35 is when we let them be. If they want to carry on things from home, they can do that. If they want to wrap up and take things for the spillover tomorrow, that's also possible. But analysts do the grind on the research side.
Mm-hmm.
Fund managers actually need time and space to be able to think ahead of the market. So that's an important part of their role. So we have to have some free space and time for them to be able to think and imagine and visualize how things could potentially look. So roles have, but the reality should be you might not be at workplace, but you're not out of it in terms of thinking. You are thinking about it as long as you're away. And this profession can actually make you vulnerable to insomnia, maybe. You're reading all the time.
Yeah.
You get addicted to speed of information. So the reality definitely should be that you're working all the time. I mean, you be
Mm-hmm.
it at office or be it at home, but in a way you are engaged.
Mm-hmm. But the key takeaway for me specifically when you said this is like it's primarily having good thinking time and reading time as well, just not being part of the grind always kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Uh, Mrinal, like, what do you think could be an appropriate educational background, or I would say a valuable background, educational background for someone? What kind of subjects someone should pick if they are thinking of making a career in finance and particularly in fund management? And again, our audience is primarily the high school students. I know we have a couple of folks who are doing their bachelor's already, but primarily it's high school students. So, what do you recommend?
Excellent question. Most people in the investment management space, that includes research, fund management, and every other role, are postgrads. So the graduation field can be very varied.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen people from engineering background or applied sciences background all the way to
Yes.
humanities and everything in the middle. But typically their masters or the postgraduate degrees are in the zone of MBAs, CFAs, or chartered accountancy.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have your graduation in very diverse fields. It could be economics honors, it could be BCom honors, it could be arts, it could be science, engineering, even medicine for that matter. I've seen people with MBBS, MBA as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
As varied as that. So the graduation field is open. It has practically not much to do with your postgrad field in terms of entering into that space. But the postgrads are constrained largely to formal education in the space of finance and investment. That largely, I would say, is CFA charters or MBA finance or CAs. So that's where I generally see that is a part that is generally common between people in this space, but the graduation field is varied. Even lawyers can actually make it to investment management field. The subjects that I think from a high school audience, the subject that should be of interest if people want to pursue should be economics. Accounting, I won't say is so very important because business accounting is generally taught in the postgrads that I talked about. Your in-depth knowledge about even applied sciences can be of significant importance.
Okay.
So economics and maths take you longer because these are analytical skills that are required. But I would say besides that, you should pursue what your passion and strength is in the graduate degree that you're going to do.
So do you think any added advantage or edge is for commerce students or finance student, anything, or sorry, science stream students, anything of that sort, or it doesn't really matter if you have mathematics and economics, you have liking for it, you have aptitude for it, that should do?
So excellent question, Surbi. Again, it is generally perceived that you should be from the commerce side to get into investment management.
Yeah.
The data is completely inverse. In fact, there are far more engineer MBAs in India in the investment management space than chartered accountants or BCom plus MBAs. So I would say that it's not very necessary to be from either commerce or science. In fact, space is very varied. If I look at global data, I've met fund managers who have done excellent in their life and they come from humanities side. And all of this. So I would say it's not, the graduation degree is not something that has a significant impact of your choice. It is not necessary to have an accounting background. It's not necessary to have an applied sciences background. It is not necessary to have an economics background. I myself didn't have economics beyond 10th. I had no economics in those times. We didn't have
school
economics.
Doesn't offer that.
And when I first studied economics, I found it was a eureka moment for me. I felt that this is the subject I would have loved to do all my life, but nevertheless. So again, short answer, the background actually is not of much significance on the education side.
So these days there is a lot of focus on multidisciplinary education. So what is your take on that? Does that really help in this field to a larger extent or not?
It does. I would say lateral experiences are of significant importance because investment management necessarily revolves around what could be the future outcomes of things. So it is in a zone of uncertainty. Your entire effort, no matter what you do, be it research, be it behavioral, be it any other thing, is about trying to make a calculated, educated guess or forecast about how things could look in the future. That never works out perfectly, but even closer to that is good enough. So I would say that's not a very binding condition, for things to progress in this field.
Okay, great. I'm sure this is giving good insights to our students out here and even parents who have joined with these students. So again, I would just like to add one thing. So besides mathematics and economics, whatever a student is more inclined towards to study in high school, let them do that. But in terms of keeping your options open, it's better to take like some rigorous coursework, and generally science is considered a rigorous coursework as well, but only if the student is inclined towards it and interested as well as has the aptitude for it. Okay. Now my next question to you, Mrinal, is like in terms of the career path of a fund manager, help us understand this journey better and what kind of opportunities are available for the growth and advancement in this career.
Again, an excellent question, and it would be very insightful for people at the age group that they are in the audience. The Fund management is a very glamorous job. I mean, as soon as you talk about being a fund manager or a CIO, most people will associate it with, you would have so many great ideas to make money, and you typically imagine that would be a very dapper personality with, top-notch suitors and all those things. But necessarily, these guys, their career begins post your postgrad, and you being picked up by an investment management firm. It could be a buy side research or a sell side research, typically, the kind of names that you mentioned in your presentation earlier. So a research analyst or an associate is the beginning step of any investment management career. That progression can typically at some point, you would typically be manning a sector or helping an analyst who's leads for other sector or a couple of sectors. Then over a period of 6, 7, 10 years, you would be thorough with 2, 3 sectors. And that is when you might be eligible to move on to a fund management role. The skills required for an analyst are very different from the skills required for a fund manager. Fund manager has to manage and have a very good sense of risk. He should be able to manage a portfolio, which is very different from actually doing research. To give an analogy, let's say a red rose or a pink rose or a blue rose or a white rose in individuality could look beautiful. But for a bouquet, if it only has red roses, it might not look as good as a combination of different colors. So a portfolio management skill is about blending different ideas and making the bouquet look good rather than picking up just the best ideas and bundling them together. A bouquet of only red roses or pink roses isn't at that creative or that necessarily good looking like the way well blended color combination could potentially look. So if there is an element of art and skill, and it's more so in the fund management space. It requires a temperament, but the research part of the role is actually very, very technical, analytical. That is where your education helps you a long way, and experience actually hones it to be very, very, I would say, usable in a practical context.
Great. And the second part of my question was like, what kind of growth opportunities is available? I know like we are again talking about fund manager as a career path, but say if not that, what are the other options as well?
So a research analyst over a period of time will become well versed with the markets and its dynamics. Besides getting into fund management roles, there are roles in the IR function of companies. Every company which is listed needs an interface with the investors. So there are IR roles, there are strategy roles, that companies offer. And there are roles wherein you could be a boutique manager. So you could turn the entrepreneur and manage some clients' money or a family office money. You could be an advisor to a World Bank kind of multinational institution where they potentially invest for betterment of society, and variety of roles which involve evaluating investment decisions in any form and shape. It could be individual, it could be corporate, it could be multinational, even sovereign funds and pension funds, wealth management roles. So variety of roles that can actually create an overlap between money, owner and investor.
I hope all the students out here, you are listening to it. Like fund manager is one career option, but if you get into this field, there are multiple other career options as well. So now, Mrinal, my next question is in terms of skills and competencies which are needed for a fund manager to really thrive in this profession. You have touched upon a few of things already, but if you can elaborate further, that would be super helpful.
So the most important skill in my view, besides, it's a given that superior analytical skills are required. So mathematics and a good sense of using economics to make sense of mathematics, that's a given. But I think investment or fund management roles require very good temperamental skills.
Okay.
But that's the most important. So I would put Warren Buffett in this. Markets are actually a mechanism of moving well from the impatient to the patient. So you need the kind of patience, you need the kind of temperament, you need the kind of tenacity and resilience, which generally is inbuilt. You can't train these into people, so these are the traits that we look for when we evaluate people for this role as well. So and these are traits that get built into personalities out of their personal experiences through their journeys of life. And I've seen people who've seen harder times in life earlier. They generally have far more ability on these attributes. As you mentioned, not being shaken too easily, market swing, to be able to hold your head and make the right decisions in pressure. These kind of capabilities are very, very important for this kind of role.
Okay. So you're saying technical skills is something which could be learned over time if you have the interest and aptitude there. But what is key is the softer skills itself, and specifically like being resilient, being calm, and able to work under pressure or deal with the market's ups and downs.
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
great. Okay. My next question is specifically around the challenges of this job. I know, like, when we say a fund manager, we have like an image in our mind, and sometimes people feel it's a fancy profession. So, just to give you a very practical view to all the students out here, I would request you to tell us some of the challenges of your job.
The most challenging part of this job is you got to be a loner.
Okay.
And I guess this is an occupational hazard.
Okay.
You already have so much of, I would say, adventure going on in life. The profession involves so much of adventure that you're not the kind of person who would, in your vacation time, look forward to a bungee jumping. I mean, so you want more peaceful, environment out of your workplace. So it's very inverse to most people who would look at adventure in their leisure time or vacation time. Most money managers want to actually calm it down, keep it slow. And it's a very lonely job.
Okay.
I would say. Although humans, unlike lions and tigers, live in a herd. They don't live in lonely. So this is very uncommon, job from a natural human tendency. I would say. Very, very different. This is a very different perspective. I guess the audience is quite young for it, Surbi, but requires you to disconnect from the noise, which makes you, which creates distance between, most people, what normally people would do. So a bit of, you need to be able to do that. If you're a people's person, very heavy people's person, you get influenced fast, you are a getter in terms of accommodating people. That's not necessarily a great idea for this, because this requires contrarian positions at times.
Interesting. This is an interesting perspective, Mrinal. And when you say like being a loner, it's more again around you getting time to think, disconnecting from the people to really filter out the noise as such, right? From that aspect itself.
Yes.
Otherwise, in terms of your interactions and all, you have to be like having that extraversion trait per se.
Yeah, so I've seen more introverts doing well than extroverts in this profession.
Oh, okay. That's a very interesting point then. I hope everyone is listening it out there. Okay, great. So we talked about the challenges. Now, also help us understand what are the key rewards of being in this profession. Again, people may have some ideas already in their mind, but hearing it from you would really help.
Two angles to it. This is the monetary segment of the rewards, the societal respect of the reward, and ability to control your work-life balance. So I would address all three. In terms of monetary rewards, it's extremely rewarding. The markets involve so much of monies that this is amongst the most well-paid professions. The best of brains and capabilities enter this. So when you do well, the rewards can be disproportionately high. And I'm talking relative to most other professions. And it's a skill-based profession, so it creates name for yourself. And like a law or a medicine profession, it gives you the option to go on your own at some point. So most lawyers are known for their name, most investors are known for their name, most medical professionals are known for their name. So because there is a skill involved, and lawyers come from the law background, investor comes from maybe investing background, medicine professional come from the healthcare background. So they have basic education, but some people out of the law practice or the medicine practice or the investing practice make a very big mark on the society, and they're very well known. So creates fame, creates rewards, monetary rewards, and it is very satisfying.
Okay.
Because in the way I value this outcome the most, it actually brings you in alignment with society's improvement. So this is one of those professions where you're not at the counter side of your client. So by that I mean, for example, if you're selling a tire or a biscuit or anything, somebody is handling the goods, getting the goods, and paying money against it. So there is a counter side to it.
Yeah.
There might not be a alignment, but in this case, the what we see is the client as well as the money managers are aligned, so they grow together. So there is a complete alignment in what they do. Very few professions actually allow you this. So this is amongst few of them.
Nice. I think you touched upon a very good point here, because your interest is totally aligned with the client's interest as such. So that ways, it's a very rewarding career in terms of satisfaction itself. Okay, I've started receiving few questions, but some of those is something which is already covered in my next few questions. So you'll get answers to that. And the remaining ones, depending upon the time, will take as well. So now getting little technical there, Mrinal, you touched upon the softer skills which are needed. But when it comes to the kind of technologies and tools which you make use of in your day-to-day working, what would be those per se?
So largely public databases, but research-oriented databases like a Bloomberg, like a Capital Lines, basically financials and historical financials of the companies, annual reports. These are the kind of tools. The Microsoft Excel is something that gets used very often for working. Besides the normal communication presentation skills that you already have touched upon, and the importance that it possesses in every profession. These days we have advancements in terms of Python. Okay. But then all of these are very basic. They're not very technically demanding. You don't have to be a coder for it. You have to be rather a consumer for it. So they are easily available. You have to just subscribe to them. So there might be a cost associated with it, but largely available. Even public data is quite abundantly deep in terms of analyzing, and the statutory data that companies are required to dispense out as part of being listed. So there's plenty of data. You need to in fact, there's more data than what you can do justice to. So you need to be clear what exactly I want to do. No specific tool requirement besides general ability to communicate, read, use an Excel, and basic mathematics. So we don't use any calculus. We use Microsoft Excel 90% of the time. Okay. MS Word to create reports. Okay. And public databases like a Bloomberg or a Reuters or Capital Lines to basically drag that data.
Okay, good. So this other question is something one of the parent has also asked, and I'll just cover that as well. So in terms of artificial intelligence, that's like kind of the hot topic these days. So how do you see it in terms of fund management industry? Are there any kind of concerns or even like upsides of AI in the field of finance, which you see from your angle, and any kind of views there?
So AI actually would help. It would be a supporting capability rather than a replacement or disruptive capability. Investing is not technical. It is not a high IQ job. It is a more high temperament job. But on the research side, a lot of effort that gets invested into trying to collect data, trying to shaft that data or clean that data to be bringing it out par. All these things AI can do. In my real life, in our profession, I have seen we struggle with common sense itself. AI is a very significant welcome shift if it happens. We've struggled for things to look very common in hindsight, or a lot of things look common, but in real pressure zone, even common sense departs. So I would say AI might help decision making a bit there. But if the question is, can AI be disruptive to this profession? I would give it a 30% chance, not more than that. This is still a very skill-based profession where the attributes are, very non-technical in nature. And we've seen the most advanced technologies enter the market, not only today. The first computers went there. We saw the fastest processors in the market. They still do. In fact, there is a lot of debate that happens about the length of cable from the exchange to the broker house because some people have 1 meter shot, so they are able to execute trades fast.
Yeah.
All of these things we've seen does not significantly impact. Reality is technology is an enabler. AI will be also an enabler. We look forward to it, but will it be a disruptor? I doubt.
Okay, great. So I hope Shreyans, it helps answer your question as well. So again, I'll move on to my next question and then we'll pick some from the chat as well. So the next question to you, Mrinal, is how has the industry and the job of a fund manager has kind of like evolved over time? And you have been in this industry for 15 plus years. So like from where you began and even like seeing the future, what could be the emerging trends as well?
This might sound like a historical download for the audience here. So I've been in the markets 25 plus years. From an era where we used to see prices in the newspaper, there was no terminal. The transaction used to happen on physical certificates. It would take days for the certificates to come and they would get stolen. And we would file an FIR and all that. Okay. From the era of today where, you have RTGS, money can be transferred instantly. The SEBI is talking about, T+1 settlement. We used to have T+7 settlement in the 90s. DMAT, people don't even know what is a share certificate today. And we've seen heaps of it. Huge advancements have happened. When I look back, it is not even that far when things were so different. You can transact at zero cost these days, courtesy entrepreneurs like Zerodha. Yeah. So many things. And there is so much available in terms of historical prices and data, which we never had. We would rely on experience in the 90s, having seen 10 years of annual report to be able to, and we would boast of that claim and say that, okay, look at that year, something like that happened and people would not know where to go. These days, you get everything on the internet. The information is so widely available. Price discoveries are so damn fast. True. So a lot has changed and I'm sure it will keep changing. But the basic things have remained. It has still remained a challenging place to be able to do well. And it has still remained a very glamorous place to attract the best minds in any society.
Anything from a future standpoint?
This will always attract the best minds, and I'm sure this profession is of interest to a lot of people. But only the best will prevail. It is very important for kids to figure out, which is what you are helping them do, to figure out what they are meant best for. Yeah. This is not the only profession. Yes. Imagine if you were a Tendulkar and you were playing football, you wouldn't do that well. If you were a Pele and you were playing basketball, you wouldn't do that well. So the whole point is to be able to find what you are naturally built for, what is your passion. True. What matters is your tenacity. If you are a person who is refusing to give up, nobody can stop you. You will succeed. That is what matters. It is not about this profession. It is about every profession. Just figure out your drive and get up every time you fall. Success is only a matter of time then.
True. And I totally resonate with this thought, Mrinal. And even in my practice, like I keep telling my students that careers, you should not imagine that those would be linear. You may not be able to see things so far as of now, but you would be able to connect the dots later. So have faith and again, take those courseworks which really interest you, which excites you, and you have some basic aptitude there. Do not really think that if I have started my career in profession X, it will always continue to be in profession X itself. So I will ask one question which Mr. Nikhil has posted. So let me take that. Mrinal, I think we have kind of covered it, but Nikhil, I'll ask that again. What is a better combination, commerce or BBA followed by MBA, or an engineering degree followed by an MBA? Which of these two is a better combination to do well as a fund manager?
So actually, the two answers to it. If you go by statistical evidence, you will think that engineering and MBA is better because most people are coming from that line. But factually, that is incorrect. If you ask me, the graduation you should do in something that you are naturally inclined to. It could be BCom or a BB or a BBM or economics honors or whatever. In fact, as I mentioned, we've seen MBBS people, doctors doing MBA and becoming, that's rare, but we've seen them. So that's not very important. What is important is you do an MBA if you want to make a entry into that profession. But statistically, it would look like engineers have made more in this area. But that's just because the best brains in India have preferred engineering and medicine or civil services, not because engineering actually gives you any great skills to get there.
So thanks, Mrinal. Hope, Nikhil, that answers your question. Mrinal, I'll pick another question, which is from Sriram. As you said, initially, research analysts should master couple of sectors. How does one shortlist the sector? And is it on the job or on your own through some courses?
So it happens, you could feel you are very good at it on a money control or an electronic portfolio, but it has no match then when you actually do it with real money. So it is relevant for on the job. You cannot choose the sectors. You're generally given a sector based on the requirement of the firm. And I would say let's use sport. You can always do a theoretical session around, okay, this is how you play your bat, this is how you bowl, this is the speed you do, but it has no match for doing it in the real world. You have to go out there, swing your bat, get the pace, and deliver. So you can do the theoretical part. That's what education does it for you. But learning it from a more experienced guy, training for it, and then eventually leading it, that takes time. This is what the research analyst role evolves. And principles of investing won't change much from sector to sector. The sector that you get or choose is largely a function of availability of that work. And then you revolve around as requirement evolves.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mrinal. Hope, Sriram, that answers your question. So we have a couple of more minutes, and I know we are drawing towards the end of the session, but I'll continue asking questions from my end. And again, in the audience, if someone wants to ask the question live as well, just raise your hand and I will unmute you. So in the interim, let me ask the next question to you, Mrinal. So again, this is kind of covered, but in terms of your final advice to the high school students particularly, right, who are really interested in the fund management profession itself, and given they are in their formative years, what would you really advise?
Keep your maths and keep your economics. And keep a tap on, keep reading well. So the economics times, or even keep a good sense. History actually is of very great advantage when you enter the marketplace.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So if you've seen and lived through those times, will be of great advantage. You'll actually leap faster when you enter that profession. And economics and maths will help you in the analytical part of things.
One question which often comes to me in my practice is, and I'll keep my take aside there, but I want your take on that. So even for high school students, should they consider doing any kind of internships at that time of their life to get more exposed to this profession, or do you have a different opinion?
It's too early. It's too early. High school is too early to do this. I would say internships in postgrad level is the ideal thing. We do get requests for grad levels as well, but they won't benefit much out of it. They'll get a sense of the environment rather than gaining anything significant out of it.
Great. And my 2 cents here is that sometimes I have seen that, especially like parents, when the student, they enter class 11th, they kind of recommend their wards that do not put too much time on other sports activities or so, focus on academics, right? But as you have seen Mrinal saying that having the right temperament is so important. And if you expose yourself to non-academic activities like sports, it really helps build that. So I request the parents of my students that please do not completely stop their sports activity. If they are inclined towards a sport or even any kind of performing arts, let them do that, because to succeed in a career in the current scenario or in the times to come, it will not be your core technical skills which will help. It is much more beyond that, and which sports really helps in building, right? So just keep that in mind and try to have them maintain that balance itself. I have received another question, Mrinal, from Ayan. What is the work-life balance as a portfolio manager, and what are the working hours? I know you touched upon it, but yeah, please go ahead.
So before you get a good hang of your work-life balance in this profession, you have to rise up the ladder.
Yeah.
In the lower pyramid of the ladder, there is work and there is not much beyond work. There is a lot of work. That is reality. I mean, I want to be very candid. The first 5-10 years of your career in this space, you can expect to work to the physical limit. And then as you move up the ladder, you have a team, you delegate, then you might have a better sense of, because you need to think then. You are a decision maker, you are a strategy driver rather than somebody who's doing it. And I guess this goes for every profession. It's not only this. The heavy lifting is done by the lower pyramid, and the heavy thinking is done by the higher pyramid.
Absolutely right. So that's why like having that thinking time for people who are in the strategic role is very, very important. Execution is something which is done by your team members, but you should be spending more time in terms of strategy as such. Okay, I hope, Ayan, that answered your question. So I'll move to my next question, which is have you heard of any kind of myths or misconceptions around this profession as such? And would you want to take this opportunity to clarify that?
So, two myths. One, only people with commerce background can enter this. The data is completely inverse.
Yeah.
In fact, people with commerce background or accountancy background would be maybe 10-15% of this profession. Second myth, that this is akin to a casino. This is not at all casino. It is not a horse race. It is not gambling. This is real world and real investments and real money. A lot is dependent on it, and it attracts the best brain, not for without a reason. And there is no shortcut, no unethical means, no wrong means. This is real. This is hard work, and this requires mental capabilities. This requires temperamental capabilities. So don't think life is easy. You have to work hard. You have to walk the right path, and you have to do your thing. So don't be misguided by that. You need to be from a CA background or an accountancy background. No, if you want to enter this profession, there is no wrong paths, or wrong paths lead you to trouble. There is no need to walk that direction at all. And just keep doing the wrong thing. It is about doing the hard work, doing it over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you so much, Mrinal. And as I also said in the start of my presentation, that it's a neutral career. And I intentionally mentioned that because I also hear the same thing in my practice from students, that if I want to enter in finance profession, and again, like fund manager is one of those, I need to be from commerce background. No, that's not correct. It's just a perception which we have. Mrinal, I have received another question, and we do have a couple of minutes more, so I'll take that up. Chandrakant, let me unmute you because I see that you have asked the question in the chat and you want to ask that live.
Yeah, I've already asked the question in the chat box, but let me ask it here itself. Mrinal, I just wanted to know what are the opportunities lies in this profession for starting off his own for oneself, and first of all, is there any scope of kind of starting off his own, or is it like something being employed in the corporate firm, big investment firms, and continue its career? So this is what I want to know.
So, very interesting question, Chandrakant. And I've although mentioned a little, but it's akin to what lawyers do. Lawyers begin their career with a law firm or start on their own. Or law firm lawyers, they have a name of themselves and they start up their own companies. Similarly, if you would have seen leading medical practitioners, they might be associated with a hospital, but a lot of them have their own practice as well. Similarly, investors, you might have worked or started your career with a established investing firm, but very often you go your own entrepreneur way and set up an asset management company of your own. So it's very much similar. It's a skill-based individual job, very much similar to a law or a medicine investing. These are three jobs, I would say, which have no retirement. You can continue practicing. So when investors invest till the end of their life, so do lawyers, so do doctors. Very, very similar to that.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mrinal, for answering that. There is one other question, and that would be the last question, which I'll take from the audience. We do have a very engaged audience today, Mrinal. There's a lot of questions coming in. So I am happy to see that. But after this question, I'll just start with my rapid fire for you, just to see your fun side as well, Mrinal. Okay. So the last question from the audience, which I'm taking up is, and I'll just read it out, as internship is not suggested at this stage, at least is it in any way possible for kids to visit in a small group for 25 to 30 minutes to meet and see around the workplace or even outside, if it's not possible, and imbibe the energy and aura of Mrinalji?
Yes, yes, definitely. We are more than happy. We would love to have small groups coming in, having a sense and feel of what the market is. Plus I must warn you, you might be disappointed. You might think there is a very lively place and it might look like a very down to earth place compared to what you've seen in the movies. But definitely it is, and it would be a very refreshing experience for us. That can be done. It's possible.
This is an interesting one, and if I think more around it, I think schools should organize, like the way they are organize field trip, they should organize workplace trips as well, right? And generally parents are there who are part of the associations as well. They can also open the doors in terms of welcoming kids to their workplace, be it this profession or some other profession as well. So that's an interesting question which you asked, and that opens the door for many ideas too. Okay, so now I know we are at 12:30, so let's just begin our rapid fire round. And as it says, it's a rapid fire, so you don't have to think too much. You just have to give what comes first to your mind. Okay, so one fun fact about you.
Very difficult question for me. Everybody around me thinks I'm a serious dumb. but I enjoy my comedy movies. That's what I would say.
The Bollywood comedy ones, is it?
Any comedy is fine.
Okay, great. Okay. So if not a fund manager, then what would Mrinal be?
I would definitely have pursued history in some form or shape. I am very much into history. So
wow,
I think
amazing.
that would be my preference.
Great. Next one, if you could have one superpower, what would that be?
I would love to eliminate poverty and misery for mankind. That is a superpower I would love to have.
That's so nice. And in a way, through your profession, where you are helping individuals achieve their investment goals, financial goals, which is tied to what they eventually want to really achieve, right? You're helping in some form or shape.
It drives me. I kind of tell that to myself as well.
Great. That's so good to hear. Okay, one favorite book.
Gita. I mean, Bhagavad Gita, then nothing better than that I have found inspiring in life.
Amazing. That's so nice to hear. Okay, last one. Your favorite quote, if there is.
Plenty of them, but in the context of this conversation, let me just use Warren Buffett's quote. Your investment rule number 1 is don't lose money. And your investment rule number 2 is don't forget the rule number 1.
Amazing. Great. Thank you so much, Mrinal. I appreciate you giving 1 hour of your time today. And the students who have joined today and the parents who have joined today would have definitely benefited from it. And generally, I've seen post our sessions as well. We post our recordings on YouTube too, and people listen into it, and they will really find a lot of insights from it. So thank you so much, and thank you for our audience as well for joining us today. If you want to connect with us, I have shared our number, our email ID, and we are also there on all the social media platforms. You can listen into the recording of this session once we post it on YouTube as well. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a good rest of your Sunday.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.